fulfilled in their lives, and why many go in the wrong direction in life. Did you notice where we read, John said, I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and what happened? He heard God's voice. You cannot be in the Spirit without that direct communication with the Lord. There are too many Christians who are not hearing God's voice, who have used their own minds, their own words, their own thinking to becloud the voice of God in their lives. Circumstances lead them. If they wanted a job and didn't get it, and they tried and didn't get it, maybe it was not the will of God. If they got it, then it was the will of God. No, the Bible tells us that the kingdom of God cometh not by observation. You don't look to say, because I saw this, because this happened, therefore this is the interpretation of the will of God. No. Learn to walk in the Spirit. Learn to function in the Spirit. Bible says there's a road that seemeth right to a man, but the ends thereof, he says, the ends thereof are the ways of death. Which means you go in that direction, at the end of it, no matter where you turn, you're going to get into trouble. Because the only way is to turn back. There are no options, no positive options at the end of that tunnel. That's what he's telling you. You join in that direction, you get there, doesn't matter what options you want now. He's saying, I didn't send you that way. The only way is to turn back and head to where you're coming from, where you made your error. Let me read to you from 2 Corinthians chapter number 5. Oh, I like this from verse 1. For we know that if our earthly house of this tabernacle were dissolved, we have a building of God, and house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. Sometimes I wonder how many of God's children have missed God because they were not listening to the voice of God's Spirit. They missed God. I knew a young man he was a close friend of mine. We prayed together. We went everywhere together. Did a lot of things together. This was way back 1980, 81. And we looked at the future together. At the things we're going to do. We preached together. Organized meetings together. Then one day, his mother was Jamaican, and so he had some opportunities. See, be careful when you have opportunities. They make your life more difficult. Natural opportunities make your life. And so we had this plan of what we were going to do. One time we organized a crusade. And then in the midst of it, while we're just planning everything and getting ready to go, he suddenly said he wasn't going. Why? There had been a dream. Somebody one of the folks, who were planning together, we'd had a dream of Satan attacking him. And when Satan attacked him, he couldn't fight back, some kind of stuff. And that drove fear into his heart. And he said he wasn't going for the crusade. I said, you're not going? We've been planning this thing. And then he didn't go. So I went. And then now we were back, and we celebrated all that God had done in that crusade. A few months later, he got into the university. And when he got into it, I said something to him. I said, I don't think this is the will of God. Now, I didn't mean he shouldn't go to school. But there was a way that this thing had to happen. But we knew what God wanted us to do that was different. I said, I don't think that this is the will of God. And so what? He went in. Now, can you imagine you're going into the university? How could anybody tell that wasn't the will of God? I mean, everything's worked out. Well, when you walk with your spirit, you know what to take and what not to take. But there's so many of God's children who don't walk in the spirit. They're not even trained to. Anyway, he went in. And in that first year, trouble broke out. Terrible things. So many terrible things. I'll never forget one Sunday morning we met in church where we worshipped. And after the service, he was looking so terrible. So after the service, I said, what happened? And he gave me all of this story. He said, I'm quitting. He couldn't continue. What's the option? I said, let's follow our plan. I thought, now, okay, so let's follow our plan.